turn on our recording and get us started. So I am really delighted to welcome you back if you've been before, and welcome you if you are new. We're thrilled to have you for this event. And we're super excited to welcome back our financial experts, Grace Wright and Carol Straczynski of How Money Works. And they are just a wealth of information, and we so appreciate all that they share in this fabulous series they have created for the Institute. So Grace and Carol, so grateful you're here, and I will go ahead and turn it over to you. You can share your screen.
Hey, we are very grateful to be here. We thank you very much for having us.
More than 5 billion people around the world continue to struggle with money and financial illiteracy.
It's Madison Avenue manipulation, right? It's been going on for years and we buy into it.
How bad is financial illiteracy?
It's not taught in school, so people don't know this naturally. You're right. So you grow up not knowing anything about it. You make a lot of mistakes along the way, and we're hoping to educate them and teach them how money really works so they can learn the cause and effect of all this.
And it doesn't have to be generational.
Exactly.
No,
exactly right.
break that cycle.
Once you understand the basics of financial literacy, it changes your life. The secret is financial literacy. I mean, teaching your kids how money works. I think it's really understanding how money works. Once they understand the basics of how money works, they shouldn't have to struggle for very long.
Steve Siebold and Tom Matthews are the authors of How Money Works. Stop being a sucker.
Money means possibility. It means opportunity. It means freedom. Things you've always wanted to do, dreams that you have. Money makes it possible.
You know, of all the interviews we've had in the last 6 weeks, I'm actually most encouraged by that one.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Carol, and we are going to be teaching from our How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker book today. And we are starting with one of the elements. If you guys would like a copy of this book, please feel free to put your name and address in the chat, and we will get one out to you. And both myself and Grace will be your financial educator for the next little bit here. And this course is based on that book, Stop Being a Sucker. How Money Works is the first financial education book that anyone, any age, can enjoy from the benefit from ages 10 all the way up to 100. And speaking of the number 100, there's been a bunch of people, a bunch of news outlets that have featured it. TV shows like CNBC, like the clip you just saw, CBS, ABC, and Fox. The How Money Works book has received a rare endorsement from the Heartland Financial Institute, and it's been reviewed and referenced all over the web, including the popular online publication Make It by CNBC. You can also follow How Money Works on Instagram for practical tips and helpful resources. And if you haven't received a copy of our book, like I said, please let us know and we will get you out a copy. Our class tonight is titled The Foundations. It's the first of all 5 of the elements. There's foundations, concepts, protection, short-term, and long-term. We just got an address, sorry. The students who attend at least one of the elements classes can take advantage of consultations by any of the people here at How Money Works. If you have any questions or anything ever, we're always happy to help, and it's always free advice. And we have 7 money milestones that we'd like to teach over the foundations that will help set up your financial future. Our foundation class will help you establish the importance of making your money work for you instead of for somebody else. The foundation gives you a solid starting point to build a more secure life filled with confidence and more financially independent future filled with opportunity. And no matter who you are and what your goals are, security and independence are what we all want. So let's begin.
You have to face the realities of the world around you before you begin this process. Realities and concepts are important for a financial foundation. So consider this time together today as your reality check, or your How Money Works kick in the pants, our goal isn't to try and give you a PhD in finance, but rather to teach you the basics you need to know to start making smarter decisions about your money and your wealth with a new sense of urgency. This is that foundation that we were never given in school. And this is that push we all need, especially right now. This is the cast of characters from the How Money Works book. Stop being a sucker. And if you've read the book, you've already been introduced to these characters. Everyone tends to have a favorite. Mine is Dana. And the reason is Dana and I have a shared career. So before I became a financial educator and financial advisor, I was a healthcare administrator for 22 years. And that's what Dana does in our book. That's her job. So these characters are to show you and to prove that there's no stupid questions when it comes to money. And if you have your book, feel free to make notes in it as we go through our information today in the foundation course. The first choice that you have as we begin this course is really quite simple. And it's about mindset. And the choice you have is the mindset of a sucker or learning to think like the wealthy. The fact that you've joined the class today, that's a pretty good sign that you're on the right track. The Institute for Women, Wellness, and Work has a lot of great information when it comes to our mindset, a successful mindset. And here's the great news about how money works. You don't have to be wealthy yet to think like the wealthy. You only need knowledge. And this is your opportunity to gain the knowledge to go along with your mindset. One of our country's founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, once said, "An investment in knowledge pays the best interest." Carol and I salute you for taking the time to learn one of the most valuable lessons that you can and skills in life. And you're going to be glad that you did. Comedian W.C. Fields once said, "It's morally wrong to allow a sucker to keep his money." Now, of course, he was joking. It does, however, prove one thing. If you don't understand how money works, you can end up as the butt of someone's joke. And for you, that stops today. Now, we know the word sucker might sound insulting, but unfortunately, that's the best way to describe someone who could be taken advantage of because they don't know how things work. Not knowing how your money works does suck. It can suck up your time, suck up your freedom, and suck up your income. And overall, that's not good.
There's an old saying, what we think about, we bring about. Your financial reality will largely depend on how your mind works when it comes to money. Today's class, the Masterclass Elements Foundation, will cover these three concepts. Financial illiteracy is the economic crisis the biggest economic crisis in the world. The power of compound interest and how to discover wealth equivalency. We'll cover all three of these concepts. Each one is essential to the startup required to begin making financial decisions with confidence and to start taking action to get yourself on track with your money. Today, we all know how devastating a global medical crisis can be. Not knowing about money is the economic version of a global crisis, and it affects over 5 billion people in the world who are considered illiterate when it comes to their money. The financial devastation it has caused to individuals all over the world is immeasurable, and to some of it, it's intentional. The financial industry won't be happy. We're committed to changing that. If this were 1920, there would still be millions of adults in our nation who couldn't read. Public education over the last 100 years has changed that. The How Money Works Elements is a series in public education in financial literacy, changing the illiteracy. With these classes, you will learn the building blocks to earn, spend, save, and invest. Just like learning to read, when you know how money really works, it changes how your financial story ends. When you heard me say over 5 billion people in the world are considered financially illiterate, you probably wondered what that means. It references the shocking results of a recent global study. In the study, only 30% of the people in the world are considered financially literate. The study used a simple money quiz to reveal that the vast majority of people from countries all over the world were unable to correctly answer a few simple questions about money. This class will teach you the answers to those questions and many more. It's the reason I teach this course, and hopefully it's why you are here. Financial illiteracy is the #1 economic crisis in America. Our nation isn't any better off than the rest of the world. Financial illiteracy is our top economic crisis too. Look at these numbers. Can you believe that almost half of Americans don't have enough to cover a $400 emergency, or to make their student loan payments on time, or to pay off their credit cards, or even consider retiring? Sarah is right how these numbers hurt families every day, and it is hard to process. In early 2020, with the number of people on unemployment, stock market volatility, and so many people impacted, I'm sure the numbers are even worse. But here's the good news for you and everyone who takes this course. With knowledge and action, we can change these numbers. This course is your day one, a new financial reality, a new financial mindset, and a new financial future. In a recent survey, US adults said that on average, they lost $1,230 in 2018 because they didn't properly understand basic household financial issues. And almost 20% lost $2,500. That's like taking a stimulus check and setting it on fire. Only 21 states make you take one class on money in high school, one class. And of those that do, they only scratch the surface with topics like balancing a checkbook. Who even uses a checkbook anymore? Nobody even knows what that is. Do you think that's enough? Probably not. With the percentage of schools teaching sex ed, lacrosse, broadcast journalism, almost 50 out of 50. You can't make this stuff up. It makes no sense to us either. Most of our kids think personal finance course would benefit them the most. It's hard to find one on your own, and that's why we teach this class and give you that book.
So we're going to talk now about the sucker cycle. And it's a financial literacy trap. It's the trap of foolishly spending and low interest savings. And it goes on and on. And sadly, for some people, it's month after month, year after year, the same thing. And the sucker cycle, it slowly sucks away someone's potential to be wealthy, free, and in control of their life, of their financial future. Every couple of weeks, the cycle repeats. Extra trips to the grocery store, unnecessary online purchases, one more streaming subscription. Most people know how to earn money and how to spend it, and that's it. And that's what they're taught in school, how to be spenders, not savers or investors. And they just don't know there's another way to approach it. But there are other options. And it's time to break the sucker cycle. Suckers hand their paycheck to someone else. That's what they're doing. They're just earning their money to spend it. And when they hand their paycheck to someone else, that person builds their wealth with the sucker's money. So we're going to look in a moment at what these numbers look like. Little amounts can add up over time and become big amounts. When people ask us, when they come to us for a financial plan and information about how to build their wealth, they always say, well, how much do I need to get started? And we tell them what you have is what you need to get started. The important thing is to what? To start.
To start.
So this is a snapshot from the book, How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker. Now, some of these numbers might be a little different because of how things have changed with the pandemic or with inflation hitting us now. But maybe people are spending less on clothes and going to less events, but they might be spending more on subscriptions, carry out food, or even alcohol. We're going to look at another snapshot from the book. This one's about retirement. So think about your retirement like an airplane, okay? It has to have both wings to fly. Social Security was only meant to replace 40% of your income. 40%. Sadly, there's people trying to live on 40% of their income. Some people have a retirement account at work, 401k, 403b, deferred comp, TSA, and that is about to replace 30% on average. So if they don't have both, and some people don't, depending on where they work, you can see that they're really in trouble. So what is the other wing? The other wing is completely up to you. It's your responsibility. And if you hope to live on at least 70% of your pre-retirement income, then you need to be serious about what you put away. Hopefully you have a financial professional that you can work with, that can give you some advice, that can help you decide what is that number that you need in retirement, and help you decide where to put your money. If not, you can contact us at the How Money Works Learning Center because we are financial professionals. We can help you with that. I know I'm in conversations like this every single day. Well, let's take a look at how overall Americans are doing with that second wing of the retirement plane. No matter what generation you're part of, none of the generations are saving enough. You can see millennials on average have saved about $23,000 for retirement. Gen Xers, older, but they're at only $66,000. Baby boomers on average have $152,000 saved in their own personal retirement. And remember, the older you are, the less time you have. So they need to put more away. Will your savings run out in retirement? Here's an example that shines a very bright light on the numbers and the possibility of a savings shortfall. If you don't put enough aside each month at a good enough rate of return, and we're going to look at rate of return in a little depth here in a moment, well, your savings, it can be a shortfall, putting your retirement lifestyle at risk. Now, depending on your shortfall, you might even have to go back to work. Definitely, if you have a shortfall, you have to cut back on your lifestyle to live on less, or move in with your kids. Ugh, how does that sound? See the shortfall, the gray area there between what you saved and how much you need. This should be the focus of every American, to work with their financial professional to close this gap. Here's what it looks like when you nail it. Gap closed, right? The retirement savings goal is reached. This person, they'll have a reliable income because they saved the amount necessary and got the rate of return necessary to reach the savings nest egg that's required for the retirement that they wanted, that they imagined. It's not cookie cutter. It's different for everybody. And when you have a reliable income and your savings gap is closed, there might even be money left over to leave as a legacy to the next generation. Now, how does that sound as opposed to not having enough and moving in with those kids, right? Work with a financial professional to figure out, what do your numbers need to be? Because it really is different for everybody.
As Steve Siebold said in his book, How Rich People Think, the wealthy think differently than everybody else. Suckers accept their situation. Their thoughts about money center on fear. Their behavior about money centers on foolishness. The wealthy, facing the same reality, choose an alternative mindset. They see money and their future differently. Gathering as much knowledge as possible, they think about money with excitement. They see a bright future, one filled with wealth and opportunity. Let's spend a few minutes learning about the power of compound interest. Albert Einstein said this was the most powerful force he had ever discovered. Compounding is the interest that interest can earn in addition to the interest your savings can earn, or interest on interest, as Zoe puts it. Compound interest leverages the power of exponential growth.
Exponential, that's an exciting way to grow.
This amazing story from the book about John D. Rockefeller, one of America's self-made billionaires. I'll tell you the short version. Rockefeller lent $50 to a farmer at 7% when he was a boy. He earned $3.50 in interest, in addition to getting the amount he lent back. During that same time, he earned $1.12 digging potatoes for 3 days. Yuck. He looked at the $1.12 he earned from the back-breaking work versus the $3.50 his money earned for him. That's when he decided to make his money work harder than he ever could. You working for your money or your money working for you. This is a lesson to never forget. You decide. Limited by time or your money working for you around the clock, without limit and without you. Rockefeller went on to say he had ways of making money most people had no idea about. We're about to let you in on his secrets.
Thanks, Carol. So Mai and George are talking about how that just seems to be the kind of information that's too important to not know.
Absolutely.
Simpler interest compared to or versus compound interest. Well, let's just fast forward to modern day time. And let's say that Rockefeller's loan to that farmer, instead of $50, let's say it was more modern. And let's see what happened. With simple interest, the farmer would only pay interest on the original loan once a year, okay? With compound interest, every year, the farmer would owe Rockefeller interest on both the original amount of the loan and all of the interest that had accrued from previous years. So let's look at that. To see the difference, we're going to make that $50 $1,500, okay? So in today's dollars, that's what it would cost to buy something that was $50 back in Rockefeller's day. And let's imagine that 14-year-old Mr. John D. Rockefeller and the farmer agreed on 9% interest. We know credit cards today are way over that,
Double
right?
that.
Double that easily. Well, let's just use 9%, okay? And let's make it a 50-year term. Okay, let's say this is little John D. Rockefeller's retirement
fund.
Okay.
Right.
And let's just see how this works out. And remember, Mr. Rockefeller gets back his loan plus interest around his retirement. What's it going to look like? Well, with simple interest, the $1,500 still grows, doesn't it? You know, it grows to $8,250. You can see it on the chart there.
Which kind of seems like a lot.
It does seem like a lot at first, doesn't it?
At first.
1,500 to
Mhm.
grow to, yeah, but it's a long time, isn't it?
Right. Long time.
50 years. Like I said, this is little John D's retirement plan. Now, later, the growth doesn't really pick up, does it? It's pretty even, straight across. Well, how about with that compound interest? Would you like to see that?
That might be better.
It's way, way better, isn't it? So the compound interest still growing at 9%, still the same time, right? 50 years. The chart shows the difference and what a difference it is. That 1,500 grows to $132,777 in the same number of years. That is 16 times more money. And remember, it only started with $1,500. And look on the right side of the screen, how it really picks up steam, right? And that curve gets steeper with every year because you have a bigger amount growing at 9%. That is the power of compounding. Really takes off, doesn't it? So that's why Albert Einstein so famously was quoted as saying, compound interest is the greatest mathematical discovery of all time. And think about it, Mr. Einstein obviously thought a lot about this theory of compound interest because he thought about so many things in his lifetime, right? Mathematically. And he put the power of compound interest right up there with E equals MC squared, which I don't even know what that means.
I don't know either.
But I know that Einstein came
The
up with
compound
it.
stuff, though. I
The
know.
compound stuff, I know. I like the
That's
compound
good.
stuff.
Good stuff.
We should Google E equals MC squared
Right.
sometime. So here's an example of how saving monthly with compound interest can be a game changer. The interest ends up being way more than the amount you saved. So see how savings adds up? The interest in this example is actually 13 times more than what you saved. You can see it in the chart. So now we've revealed Mr. Rockefeller's secret, haven't we? Interest, earning interest, creating wealth that your savings alone cannot accomplish. This is the way the market grows. When the market builds on your account, even if you don't deposit into it, that seed money will grow. Right now is a great time to start investing because we see a lot of opportunity. We know that old adage, right? Buy low, sell high. Well, when the market is declining, like it is oftentimes with inflation, that's a great time to really get some money working for you and compounding. We're going to look at another example with Sarah and TJ. So Sarah and TJ. Sarah opens a savings account with $50,000 to start with. That doesn't often happen. Okay, not often does that happen, but in our example, we're going to compare starting out an account with 50 grand, whether it's an inheritance or profit from the sale of a home, whatever, starting an account out with 50,000, or in TJ's situation, putting away $500 a month. So Sarah opens her savings account with $50,000. Well, TJ opens at the same time a retirement account with $500 each month and adds an additional $500 every month. So this could be a Roth IRA, for example. And both accounts, not so much Sarah's, but TJ's could be a Roth IRA, individual retirement account. So both Sarah and TJ earn a constant 9% annual interest. Can you guess which one will be worth more? What do you think? Well, $500 per month actually ends up outpacing a one-time sum of $50,000, even though they're both growing at the same rate, even though they're both saved over time, the same amount of time, 45 years. In fact, you can see where TJ's account actually passes Sarah's up after only 17 years. In this case, the tortoise beat the hare. Slow and steady can win the race. And look at the difference when they retire. It's quite substantial, isn't it?
The return you get can make a big difference on how this story turns out. Watch what I mean. Look at the following growth curves. They each reflect $178 added each month to a monthly compounding account, beginning at age 25 and then growing until age 67. Observe how the significant difference in the spike in the growth can be when your interest rate is just a few percentage points higher. Compounding time and your interest rate all influence how hard your money can work for you. Once you see the difference, it's hard to imagine intentionally placing money at 3% or 1% or less. Yet it happens every day. That's what the banks pay. And where do you think they're putting their money? Do you think they're putting it in simple interest accounts, or are they compounding?
All right,
Yeah.
well, let's take a look at that curve. Wow.
The amount per month and the time are the same. The only change is the rate of the return. This could mean as much as 797% more money at 9% versus that 1%. That's almost a $900,000 difference. As you can see, your rate of return could be the defining factor that closes your retirement savings gap or leaves you with that significant shortfall.
Those are some big differences.
Huge difference.
For just a couple of percentages.
Yeah.
It's why we fight for our clients to get every bit of growth possible. And why we also talk so much about the impact of taxes on our retirement account, because that plays a big role too.
Focusing on safety alone and ignoring the rate of return can be a costly mistake. Wealthy people want their money to work for them as hard as they did for it. So let's take our turn to think like the wealthy.
Absolutely. Because safety alone is not going to be compounding. So when we work with clients and when advisors work with clients, you'll see that they have jobs for their money to do. So we're not going to invest next month's mortgage payment, right?
Right now.
No. And we always want to have an emergency fund. In fact, the 7 money milestones, getting a financial education, proper protection, the next one is establishing an emergency fund. And then, of course, dealing with debt and so on. But you need to designate some money, some account for wealth growth. And that is so important.
Absolutely.
The safety account for your emergency fund and budgeting, knowing what your monthly needs are, very important, but also getting that growth. Okay. So we're going to look next at discovering wealth equivalency. So last class, we talked about owning your own business and what that might look like. So today, we're going to talk about a very important piece of the financial foundation. And that is, how do you know when you're looking at your savings, how much do you need to pull off your savings to pay for your future? And one of the things that we talk about is the difference between being an employee who earn a modest salary, or for those who are closer to retirement, what size do you need your retirement to be to make sure that you can fund your retirement, okay? If you don't earn a big enough paycheck, or if you don't have enough time left for the power of compounding to get your savings where you need it to be, are you out of luck? Or is there another way to create the wealth you need for the lifestyle you want? The answer is there is a way. It's the power of owning a business. And we talked about that in length, going from being an employee to an entrepreneur. Maybe for some, it's doing both at the same time. If your retirement goal is to enjoy a lifestyle of independence, we need to look at what is realistic and what do you have to have saved, okay? This concept is called wealth equivalency. And we're going to compare what it looks like for the strategies. And then you decide which is more realistic for you. So here's how wealth equivalency works. How much would you have to have in an account earning consistently 5% annual return to equal the amount that you need to pay for your month of retirement, or what it would be like to own a business, okay? So if you needed $1,000 a month, okay? And to have $1,000 a month consistently come in, you would have to have $240,000 in an account earning 5% to harvest that 5% and then have it grow it again next month, right? So you don't run out of money, right? But what if you had a part-time job or a business that generated $1,000 a month? That would be, it would get you there. That's why we call it the wealth equivalency, okay? Now, you're not going to get 5% in a bank. The average bank account these days pays not even 1%. Yeah, not even. It's like 0.09%, if it even is that high, right? And to be able to have an account earning only 1%, you'd have to have 1.3 million, okay, to pay you $1,000 a month. And that's a very big stretch for most people to have a single account that they're going to live off of be over $1.3 million if it were in a bank growing at even the grandiose 1%, okay? So we have to ask ourselves, what is more likely to happen? You keep doing what you do today and earn enough to save $240,000 or up to 1.3 million, or you consider an additional income stream, okay? Like owning a business or starting a business. That's one of the best examples I've seen of how money really works, okay? Well, what if you build your business income up to $5,000 a month, okay? Over time, with compounding, giving a good service to people, providing for a need, That would be as though you had $1.2 million in that interest-bearing account to pull out $5,000 a month from your business. But you see how the math changes? You see how life-changing it would be to go from $1,000 a month to $5,000 a month by having a successful business and going long-term, okay? Versus trying to save and invest to have that 1.2 million, even at 5%. Well, let's keep going, shall we? You can see that if you have a business that is growing, starts out small, right? Maybe $1,000 a month. And then you start to grow, maybe bring on a partner, go to 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month. There's no limit to how much you can earn in a successful business. We certainly see people in our industry doing this. And what's the equivalency of that? Having to have an account, a savings that large. So as your business continues to grow, it becomes even more obvious that most people are never going to be able to save that. So if you can focus on and explore the future by owning a business, then maybe you can fix any retirement shortfall that you have. Certainly people in our industry, people in our business see these types of monthly incomes by helping families learn and put plans in place and watching knowledge become power for people, especially when it comes to how money works and income. So again, how suckers think. My boss doesn't pay me enough and I'm getting older. I'll never have enough money to live my dreams. How the wealthy think. My savings are light, no problem. I can start a business, create an additional income, and have enough money to live my dreams. And one of the things we really want to tell the women of the Institute is you can be wealthy. You can live your dreams. You might have to change. You might have to do something differently, but you can do it. And the outcome of our wealth equivalency exercise, suckers think having savings is the only way to create retirement income they want. The wealthy, on the other hand, know that by owning a business, almost anyone has the chance to create an income that's equivalent to having millions saved for retirement. Sadly, not enough people think like the wealthy, and we're trying to help change that. And that is our mission at How Money Works. Our mission is to teach 20 million families how money works within this next decade. We're going to stamp out financial illiteracy in every community. Now, that's a huge undertaking and a big goal, and one that's going to require an army of 1,000 and thousands of How Money Work educators. And we're looking for people to help us teach those classes. Maybe you know somebody that you can refer to us. We really want to talk to them. In the book, you'll find the money discovery. And we're at the end of today's element, the foundation. And I hope that you think about the concepts that we talked about and what resonated with you the most. And that's how we're doing it. That's how we're starting this mission of eradicating financial illiteracy. We call this section of the book, so I think it's page 110, Money Discovery. And part of attending this course is if you need help finding a financial educator, a financial professional, we can help you with that. If you want to meet with someone from the How Money Works Learning Center, myself, Carol, we can help you with that. But this is in the back of your book, and it's the information you need to gather for a financial consultation. It sort of works like driving directions on your phone. You know how you have 2 points of reference, like where you are and where you want to be? Well, that's the way this works. To chart the course for your financial roadmap, the How Money Works discovery call and the pages in the book help you take care of that. The next step is to put a plan together, and it's up to you. You've attended one of our elements classes, and we hope that it was helpful for you. The question is, how do these concepts work with your financials and your personal numbers? And how much faster will you be able to complete the 7 money milestones when you have an expert guiding you, right? Your discussion should be private. We are going to open it up for questions. We don't want you to ask personal questions on the webinar. You're welcome to reach out to us if you're interested, and we can crunch the numbers and make recommendations and give you access to the best products there are and services available in all of financial world. If you like what you learned today and you'd like more, like we said, you can follow us on Instagram, How Money Works on Instagram at How Money Works Official for tips and helpful resources. And we look forward to our next essential course. But like I said, we're happy to open up now for questions. If anyone has any questions for us.
And don't forget to put your address in the boxes too if you would like a copy of the book.